So far we have applied different properties in our AutoCAD drawing, and in order to check the properties which are applied on the objects, you can take help of property palette. So the property palette can be accessed simply by right clicking anywhere in the drawing area and selecting the property option. So obviously we don't have the property option here as none of the object is selected. Now in order to make the property palette active, you need to select the object first. So in this case I'll select the object, this part of the object, then right click, select the properties. Now we have the property option. So this is a simple property palette, and you can obviously stretch it, contract it. You can change the size of this property palette. Also you can scroll it down here to see even more values, and if you want you can even dock it to the side of this window. So when I move it towards this side, you'll notice that it will automatically dock here. Now we have the property palette always available here. Now this property palette is displaying the line properties of 7 lines which we have selected, as you can see here. So we have these 7 lines selected, and all of these properties are related to those 7 lines. Now let's press escape key, and now we don't have any selection here. So let's select any other object, and in this case I'll select this object here, and now this is displaying the property of this particular line. Similarly, if you change it to, let's say, this circle, it will only display the properties of that circle. As you can see here, we have the circle now. So in this way you can check the properties of different objects using the property palette. Now you can also undock it here, just move it outside this corner, and here we have it. Now let's look at the properties which can be seen using this property palette. So in the first situation, we will have a look at this part of the drawing. So here we have applied the yellow color. So let's select these lines. Okay. Now let's look at the property palette. So we can see that the color has been applied as yellow, and here using this property panel we have applied the yellow color. So that's the same property. Now if you want to change the property from here, you can do that directly. So let's click on this, and there will be a drop down menu just like this, and you can see the same drop down menu here also. So when you click on it, you have the same drop down menu. Now we have an option of more colors here. Select color, and we have the select color window which was also available here. Now from here, let's change this color to green. Click on OK, and you can see the change here. The green color has been applied. So you can change the properties of any of these objects directly using the property palette and also using the properties panel. Now let's press Ctrl Z to get back to the original properties. Now we have also changed the properties of these lines. So here we have this line, and we have changed the line type of this line. So let's select this line, and now here on this line type option you'll see this ACAD line type. So let's click on this drop down, and now you can again change the line type if you want from this list. But in this list, obviously only those line types will be shown which are loaded in the drawing. So if you want to load any other line type, click on this other and you can load it. Also, we have the line type scale of 0.04, which we have already seen. You can obviously change this value if you want according to your requirement. We also have some other properties, for example, the layer, which we will look in a moment. So you can change the layer of this line from this drop down, and there are also other options, for example, the layer panel from where you can change it, and we'll obviously look at this in the upcoming modules. Now let's look at one more option here. So let's press escape key, and here we have the line weight. We have applied the line weight, select it, and now we have the line weight option, which is 0.3. Obviously you can change this value also. So let's change it to some other line weight, and we have it here. So this line weight is now changed. You can compare it with the remaining line weights. So we not only have these many properties, we also have some additional properties here. So let's now change it once again back to 0.3 line weight. So I'll scroll it upwards, change its value to 0.3. Now we can also see some other properties related to these lines or other geometries. For example, let's zoom into this area. Now here we have a circle. Let's select it. We have all the properties now which are related to the circle. Now let's scroll it down. And now let's look at the geometry panel here. Now in this geometry panel, we have some very important information here. For example, the radius, which is 57.5 for this circle, the diameter, circumference, and the area. So these informations can be directly accessed from the property panel. You can not only access these options, but you can also change these values. So for example, in this case, let's say that we want to change the radius of this circle from 57.5 to, let's say, 50. So let's type 50, press enter, and you'll notice that the radius of this circle will change in this drawing also. Similarly, if you change the value here, the new property or the new value will be updated directly here in the property panel. And also when you change the radius, the diameter and all the related values will get updated automatically. So let's press escape key and press Ctrl Z. Now this is one way of accessing the properties of any object. There is also one more method of accessing the properties, and you can do that by list command. So here also I'll select the same circle. Now let's assume that we want to find its properties. You can simply select the object, go to this properties panel, select the list option, and here we have it. Almost all of the properties which are quite important, for example the radius, circumference, and area, and you can see these properties. Obviously you cannot change these properties from this list, but you can take a reference of these values when required. You can also match properties of one object from your drawing to the other object. For example, in this case we have this transparency applied on this part of the geometry. Let's assume that we want to apply the transparency, same color, and all the other properties on other part of the geometry, and in this case we will apply it on these lines. So for that you need to use the match properties command, and the shortcut for match properties is MA. So simply type MA, which is short for match attributes or match property, you can say. Now press enter. Now select the source object, which is this one obviously. Now select the destination object and click on the destination object, and the properties will get applied on those objects. Simply go on and click on those objects and the properties will be applied just like this. Press enter when you want to exit the command. In a similar way, let's say that we want to apply the same line type here, the line type which is applied here, and with the same line type width and the line type scale and everything, all these properties you want to copy from here and you want to paste it on this line. For that again we can use MA, the match properties command. So type MA, press enter. Now click on the source object, which is this one, and now directly go to the destination object and keep on clicking, and the same properties will be applied here just like this. It's quite easy, and also a very handy tool if you want to apply lots of properties. So in this way you can transfer the properties of one object to another very easily using the match property command. And that was all about the property settings of AutoCAD drawing.